a problem here. And it's more than just Alvin streaming Punisher. When life begins to suck, who's reporting it? Luckily, you got two friends who you won't forget. Coming live, Alvin and friend on survival. Laughing non-stop, case drops on a cycle. Louder than intrusive thoughts off an iPhone. How they make the world seem bright with the lights off. AFs, it might as well stay up. Lies being told like that dinosaur BS. Magnifying glass to the ground if they don't see us. Having the time, roasting your favorite pizza. Bougie ain't an option, it's the wage. Take it to the grave, add moving to the place. You already know when they take the case. Laugh the pain away, it's affirmative murder.
Affirmative Murder live.
Phone's on, I can't hear, but go ahead.
Affirmative Murder live from Crime. Don't interrupt me again. Affirmative Murder live from CrimeCon 2020. What year is it? 23?
24.
24?
Yeah.
No, you're wrong. Is it?
No, it's 23.
We're living in the year 3000. We are here reporting live from CrimeCon. It is a fever pitch, if you will. It's the first day. Very excited to see what comes at us on this summer evening. I don't know. What time is it, friend?
This is fall, brother.
So it's fall. It's fall, brother. And I'm very excited as I look around. There's so many people. This is a lot more tame than other ones we've been to. I'm not really seeing any costumes, no ears, things of that nature. It feels like this is very grown, adult time CrimeCon. But what are your initial thoughts of CrimeCon as we've set up at our booth and we're starting to report live? Fran,
This one seems more lively, I think, than the past 2 years on day one.
You don't say.
I think it's just more. I think there's a lot more going on. There's a lot of cameras.
Yeah, there's a lot of
cameras.
A lot of professional things.
Yes,
happening.
more. There's more. I think there's been an uptick on networks. There's a lot of networks here.
Yes. The networks are out in full effect. I've spoken to a nice lady from Tenderfoot TV. She might be stopping by to talk to us a little bit later about a very interesting, very rare disease that's affecting black people kind of silently that I'd never heard of. That
Okay.
She says both of her children have been diagnosed with, and she's now going around and speaking about it. I would love to hopefully get a chance to talk to her in a little bit. That would be really cool. But CrimeCon 2023. Yes, Fran?
Yes.
2023. Super excited. Great time to live and be alive. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. Now I'm rambling. But for anybody who is not here, get here. I guess it's not really possible because when this comes out, we'll already have done it and it'll be over.
It's over. We're back home.
Sorry. So don't ignore that advice and come next year because we'll probably be here unless there's an issue. Do you want to get into the drama?
We can.
We can
go there.
Yeah, so Fran and I were almost homeless yesterday. We got here and the hotel couldn't find a reservation, and they really what is this name? The World Center Marriott. I'm sure on a regular day is a great hotel. When there's things happening, utter chaos, no stars, not even 1 star, not 1.5 stars, no stars for this place. They did not know where our room was and couldn't give less of a shit.
Didn't care.
For 2 young black men trying to make a way. I don't want to make it racial because it wasn't that serious. But they couldn't find
It could have been.
It could have been if they would have been like, well, we can't solve it and go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
We almost thought we were going to have to sleep on the curb. Thankfully, it didn't go.
It was almost reality I thought we were going to be on the street.
Yeah, it was a
overnight.
I've never been on the precipice of homelessness before.
It was close.
And so I can't imagine like when it's really like that.
Yeah.
What people go through, because I really, we're in another city, it's another state, and the person's going, you don't have a bed tonight. It was like Pursuit of Happiness.
Yes.
I felt very Will Smith. You are Jaden Smith in this scenario.
I'm the child. Cool. All right. I'll take that.
I felt like Will. He has some. Wait, hold on. Welcome to CrimeCon 2023. That mic is live. Please pick the mic up. Thank you. Hello, your name?
I'm Glynis.
Glynis.
Yep.
Wow, what is the origin of that? Is that Scottish?
It is a Smashing Pumpkin song.
Glynis is a Smashing Pumpkin song.
Yep.
So your parents are like
My
the
mom
grunge?
was like 19 and a little bit grungy.
I like it.
And that is the origin of the name.
Glynis, what brings you and your friend
Haley.
What brings you and Haley to CrimeCon this year?
Well, we are true crime girlies.
Sure.
Of course.
Of course.
As many of the attendees are.
Yeah.
And additionally, I kind of tangentially, my
Great
work
word.
is related.
Great word.
To some true crime. I'm a fire engineer.
Okay.
So,
Wait, what does that mean?
So it could be.
I was gonna pretend and just let her.
No, that's all right.
Yeah,
that's all right.
yeah.
It's
I don't know.
Most
you build
simple,
fires.
No.
Okay.
Everything to prevent the fires.
Okay.
Or after a fire happens.
So you like go to this, you're like, this was arson.
You could be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That like falls under the big umbrella.
Okay.
I personally haven't, like, I'm not going to claim to have done a ton of that.
Okay.
But I have worked a lot on, like, the building design side from the front side.
Mhm.
Sure.
But Haley does have a job in the crime world, in the true crime world.
Yeah.
I'm a medical legal death investigator.
Whoa. Okay. Whoa. Breaking news. There will be bombs dropped right here. Boom, 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 boom. Bombs drop. Okay. So you are a medical, say it again?
Medical legal death investigator.
And that's like, you go to the crime scenes.
Yeah. So
And-
I work for the medical examiner's office.
And then your job is to do what?
So I am like a liaison between our pathologists and law enforcement.
Okay, so you're like, if this is Criminal Minds, you're AJ. Have you seen Criminal Minds?
Yes, not in a while.
Okay, well, she comes in and she's like, here's the folders before they go to do the job.
Kind of, yes.
Like,
I
here, let
write
me
the
break it
report.
down to you so you know
law
what's going on
enforcement
the
will report
ground.
a death to me. If it's a case, I'll like take all of that information, write a report, go out to the scene, document the scene, bring the body back to the office, and then
Oh, you handle the body.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Okay, so what was your first?
Wait, you can hold the mic just in case our arms getting tired.
Yeah. I'm sorry to. Please, yeah,
Okay.
Please take one if you would like. I'm sorry to put you to work like that. Yeah, Haley, you can hold your own microphone. Thank you. Don't do that to your friend. So, what was your first experience / your crazy experience? Was there a scene you showed up to where you started to second guess your decision in the career that you chose?
No, it's a lot of compartmentalization. So like my job stays at work, and my personal life is my personal life. So.
Wow. Now, I get weak-kneed and queasy at the sight of blood. So do you think that there is something different in your brain than in my brain? Friend, you also get queasy as well?
I do, yes.
Yeah, so when you say compartmentalize, you make it sound so easy, but you're holding a body,
Yeah.
and you just go, well, that's work, and I leave it at work. But me, I pricked my finger one time to see if I had high blood pressure, and it still haunts me to this day. So what is it that you have that somebody else doesn't have?
I mean, the brain's a weird place. So
Sure.
like, just
Have
the
you
way
always been like a
It's definitely a skill, though, right?
broken bone? If you see a bone poking out of the skin as a kid, you're just like, let me help.
No, I mean, I'd never been to a funeral, never seen a dead body until I started this job. So I think it's just something that your brain is set up to work that way, or it's not. Like, we've had several people at our office that like got into it, realized it wasn't for them, and left shortly after they started. So I think just the way a brain processes things.
Is it just because it's your job where you can go like, this is my job and I do this. This is why I can compartmentalize
Yeah, it
it?
absolutely would be different if I like knew the person, but
Right.
like
Sure.
when I'm there, I don't know this person any differently.
There's no emotional attachment
So
to it,
it's-
right?
Yeah, but
Okay.
if it's somebody that I knew, it'd obviously be a lot harder for me to do my job.
For sure.
Right.
Haley, Glennis.
Glennis.
I knew it. I didn't want to be.
You didn't wanna
I didn't
butcher
want to. I didn't want to not be confident and say it, and it was wrong. You know,
Yes.
we hope you guys welcome. That is our job. That's why they keep us by the front door. We welcome people. Yeah, we are the red carpet rollout, and yeah, we hope you guys have a great time. Haley, Glennis, thank you guys so much.
Thank
We'll
you,
see you
thank
guys
you.
around. Go take some laps, have a good time, make a way, find a way, place it down gently. Thank you.
No micro.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, guys.
I live in Nashville.
That was Haley and Glennis.
Yes.
I still didn't really get what a fire engineer was. She kind of moved on from
I
that.
thought she meant she drove the truck. That's why I went
a
along
fire
with it.
engine.
Makes sense to
She's
me.
a fire engine.
She sits on the back. She drives the back.
Yeah.
She turns the back wheel.
I looked at it like a fire engine near, like I'm a wagoneer or I'm a cheerleader, like I'm a fire engineer, like she cheers for the fire engine. I too thought that's where it was.
Oh, I didn't think that.
I also thought she built fires.
That sounds crazy. What does that mean?
An arsonist. So shout out to Haley and Glennis. More coming from CrimeCon 2023 in just a brief moment. We need to take a break because Fran needs to pee really badly. Stay tuned. Excuse me, hi.
Hi.
One, I see your badge, and I also see that there's FBI all over your badge.
Yes.
Might I ask you what you're doing here at CrimeCon?
Yes, I am.
Could you pick up this microphone? I would love to talk to you briefly, if you have time.
Yes, I do.
Hello, hi, I'm Alvin. You are?
I'm Jerri Williams. I'm a retired FBI agent who has a podcast called FBI Retired Case File Review.
Yes.
I've been doing it for almost 8 years, 300 episodes, and I only interview retired FBI agents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sherry, so what was your specialty when you were in the FBI?
I was a fraud and corruption agent. So all of my cases, I worked Ponzi schemes, advanced fee frauds, telemarketing fraud, embezzlements,
Yes.
things like that.
What are your thoughts on Bitcoin?
On Bitcoin,
Scam?
scam.
Scam.
You know why it's a scam for me? Because I don't know anything about it. And if you don't know anything about something, don't invest in it.
That's brilliant
Sound
advice.
advice.
What have been some of the most interesting fronts that you've come across as far as, you know, a scheme, a multi-level marketing scheme, anything that really you came across
Well,
in your career?
I don't think it needs to be exotic
Sure.
to be a good con.
Absolutely.
It has to be the person itself. If they are charismatic
Yes.
and they can just convince somebody to do something that normally they wouldn't do.
Yes.
Like give somebody all of their life savings.
Absolutely.
That's all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be fancy. It doesn't need to be fancy.
I think that's absolutely brilliant. So once you retired, what brought you into podcasting?
Well, I started writing books,
Okay.
crime novels, and I have a couple of nonfiction.
Okay.
And I was looking for a way to find readers.
Yes.
And so I thought, well, I'll do the podcast, and the podcast has taken off.
Yes.
You know, so 10 million downloads, and
Wow.
300 episodes.
Yeah.
I still write books.
Absolutely.
But people probably know me more as a podcaster than they do as an author.
Okay.
I think that's super amazing. FBI-wise, when did you get in?
A long time ago, 1982.
And what was the demographic of the FBI
the
when you came in?
Yeah, so
you know
I-
where I'm going, Sherry.
I know exactly where you're
Sherry,
going.
Sherry,
So,
you know where I'm going.
Yeah, so it's Jerri.
Jerri.
with a
Oh,
J.
Jerry! Wow, Jerry! Oh my God!
Yes.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I thought I heard Jerry. I was like, no, because Jerry's a more masculine name in my experience. So that's my apologies, Jerry.
No problem whatsoever. So when I came in, there were about maybe 3% African American agents in the FBI.
Yeah.
There was 0.5% women. So I
Wow.
was like number 23, the 23rd black female agent
Wow.
in the FBI. But nowadays that has almost doubled.
Yeah.
And now there's about 5%.
Yeah.
Of the
She
race.
said double. And I thought, yeah, great.
Yeah.
It's from double from three.
Yeah.
It's double from three. Yeah.
It's been hovering about 5% African American agents, FBI agents in the FBI for years.
Yeah.
And I do my part trying to encourage people to join or to even look at
For
it.
sure.
And for some reason, I don't know why the number hasn't increased.
That's where I was gonna go. I was like, what do you think is it a boys club? Is it a?
I think the perception is that it is.
Yeah.
But it's a great job opportunity. I mean, the starting salary is $78,000, and by the time you've been in for 3 or 4 years, you're making over $100,000. And I know it's not all about money.
Yeah.
But
it is sometimes.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
somebody who
Doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt. But it's a great job with a very necessary job.
Yes.
I mean, we uphold the Constitution, and nowadays how important it is to have somebody doing that.
Jerry, you are absolutely right that's incredibly important. Jerry, one more time, could you plug your podcast for me?
Yeah, the name of my podcast is FBI Retired Case File Review.
Jerry, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Nice
Thank
to
you,
have
thank
Thank you so much for
Thank
stopping
you.
by. Affirmative Murder is sponsored by BetterHelp. I am a textbook overthinker. Bills, relationship issues, family problems, and a multitude of scenarios that I make up have kept me up later than I've wanted to be, more times than I can count in my life. These thoughts have led to anxiety-filled mornings, midday heart flutters, and tons of dreams where my teeth fall out in them, which according to many psychology books is a sign of stress and anxiety. Well, it turns out one great way to get those racing thoughts to stop is to talk through them. And therapy gives you a safe place to do just that. So you can get out of your negative thought cycles and find some mental and emotional peace. In my interactions with therapy, I've found them to be very beneficial, especially the part where you're sitting down and unloading on a complete stranger who has no real investment on telling you what you want to hear. And then being able to leave that space and leave everything you just dumped behind, which is a benefit that is not often afforded with friends and family members. It's also helpful to speak with somebody with a vast world of knowledge in coping skills and setting boundaries that empower you to be the best version of yourself. So if you've been thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/A, M as in Martha, P.com today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/AMP. CrimeCon 2023. I am here with
S. Monique Smith.
one more time.
S. Monique Smith.
S. Monique Smith. What do you prefer to go? Monique?
Monique.
Mo?
Yep.
Monique. Mo?
Monique.
Monique, it's a pleasure. I see that you have a speaker badge on.
Yes.
What are you here for?
I'm the longest living Jane Doe. I turn individuals into instant advocates with my book and documentary. I remind the world that all missing children aren't dead.
Yes.
I'm listed on the National Center of Missing Exploited Children.
Wow.
I am missing child number 1201298. And I have been campaigning for well over 20 years to discover that I had actually been missing for 50 because I was
15?
50.
50 years?
50 years. No one believed the story, and I kept saying that the family who raised me was not my family, and I lived a horrific life. I mean, I was beat every day as a child. I was molested, raped, you name it. You know, it was just a tragedy, and I kept saying I meant for so much more.
Yeah.
I saw my friends, I watched television, I had crayons and, great imagination, so why am I
being treated the way that you were being treated.
the way I am?
But it was under the guise of family. It wasn't
So the S. Monique Smith that I introduced myself as is
Yes.
a fake name. So even as of today, I am living under false identity. And I'm still working every single day to kind of change that.
Wow.
So it's really been a struggle. I'm in all the DNA portals like Ancestors.com,
Yeah.
23andMe, and there's a registry called NAMUS
Yeah.
for deceased people, which means that they get DNA from individuals that bodies are found in abandoned homes, under park benches, crime scene where no one wants to be a part of it.
Yeah.
They actually work with putting their information in a portal
Okay.
in hopes of me one day being matched with someone.
Yeah.
So, a question to you. Did you ever find your family or?
Yeah, I actually never gave up on myself or my children. I'm a mother of 4, and I didn't want to die with nothing on my tombstone,
Yeah.
or at least a fake name.
Yeah.
Because once I did get the information from school records and the Department of Social Service, there was an inconsistency across the board. One
Yeah.
was born in 66, 67, 68.
Yeah.
One said I was born, May and April. One said I was Hispanic. So
Wow.
I had gathered a multitude of documents that she had falsified to hide the story. And ironically, it was just a false sense of what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, I wrote a book. It's called I Am the Ancestor Before I Die. I'm going to share my story.
Yes.
Because I couldn't even prove that my own children were my children
Yeah.
without a birth certificate. So I could never travel. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't prove my children were my children. And I kept pursuing it. And eventually, I was helping other families like Relisha Rudd, Keisha Jacobs' mom, in D.C., in Virginia, myself.
Yeah, we're from
other
Baltimore.
families.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And after working for so long, my DNA was pulled from CC Moore out of Ancestors.com and 23andMe.
Okay.
They did like a cocktail, and they did take a DNA, and they found this woman who was looking for the death certificate of a 1-year-old baby sister. So it wound up
Being you?
being I was the baby.
Wow.
And our mother had passed away at 34. I don't know really much of the story.
Yeah.
Everything is still unfolding live. That's
Yeah.
why.
For sure.
Right. This just happened. And when I mean never give up, once Oprah and, Ellen, no one called me back, and I was spending thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I got my own film crew, got
Yeah.
my own team together.
Yeah.
And my documentary
That's
is called
amazing.
The Longest Living Jane Doe, and it premiered in theaters. I mean, I went on tour independently, not having a clue about directing.
You made it
the
work
Yeah.
though.
movie.
You
Yeah.
made it work though. You got out there and did it
and
yourself.
I built, so much of my children's legacy out of absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Like, not even a name.
yeah.
Like, literally
That's-
not even a name.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
So, yeah, so I'm
That is-
excited. So now at the end of this interview, you said it was 2 minutes, I can officially say that my name is Symboli Ruffin.
Wow.
Hey, not the money. I mean, yes. I'm gonna do my research. So I was trying to figure out, is any money? Not that I need it, because I actually run a construction company in the city of Baltimore.
Underground coin
years.
And get the message out to the people. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Incredible story.
Have hope.
And thank you so much.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it. Thank you. Back again, reporting live from Crime Cost 2023. We have been hit with an onslaught. It has been a crazy, probably about a 30-minute stretch, friend, I would say. We've met a lot of awesome listeners. Shakita, longtime listener, hit the table. Hopefully she's coming back. We would love to talk to her for a bit. We've had a wonderful litany of amazing people stop by, and it's been quite a time, friend. How is Crime Con going for you so far?
You guys speak up too, because I can't hear you.
How is Crime Con going for you so far?
Hey, man, I'm not deaf, man. I'm just saying I can't hear you. You have headphones on.
Don't attack me.
You have headphones
Don't
on.
attack me.
No,
There's
you
people.
brought headphones talking about, I just want to check the levels.
I told
and then
you.
You've been wearing the headphones
I told you to also.
this whole time. Now, can you hear me?
I told you to also bring headphones. Don't unplug.
We don't have a double-headed jack.
How are you enjoying the Crime Con?
No, how am I supposed to hear if I brought my headphones?
Just take them. You wear them.
Thank
you. Such a child.
I appreciate that, man. You're a
How
good
are you
man.
enjoying Crime Con?
You're a good man.
Whatever. Answer the question.
What was the question again?
How are you enjoying Crime Con?
I am enjoying Crime Con right now. The crowd has been dying down a little bit. 'Cause I think there may be some type of show going on.
Yeah, there's like an event happening, I think.
Yes, and then when that ends, the
Get flooded
onslaught
again.
will continue for sure.
Yeah, it's been quite a time. We've had some cool people stop by. Promises of some very interesting conversations to come.
Yes.
Looking forward to those. If they come to fruition or not, we shall see.
Mm-hmm.
There are rumors that one Schmancy Schmace may be making an appearance soon.
Here? At the table?
At the main stage.
Oh, okay. I thought you had something surprise.
I might try to cut through the security to try to get an interview, but based on how the security
if
is
you get
this
body
year,
slammed, then I don't know.
Yeah, I would say based on how the security is this year, that might not be a great idea. They've been very intense.
I think the president
I've been chest stopped several times with palms on my chest, like this is a restricted area. Then I gotta, flash the creds, and they part like the Red Sea. You feel me, friend?
Yeah.
But Crime Con 2023, it's been a great time so far. We're just doing a check-in. We're going to check in again in a little bit. Sorry for the kerfuffle that Fran and I got into. But, it go like that sometimes. Sometimes it bees like that, right? Fran?
Yeah.
Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to tell you more about what's going on at Crime Con. So stick around. Crime Con Live 2023. Crime Con 2023. We are here live, and we are talking to our neighbor who is sitting to the left of us.
Yes.
Please introduce yourself to everyone.
Yeah.
Fran included and myself.
Hi, my name is Madison McGhee. I have a podcast called Ice Cold Case. Yes. I am investigating my dad's murder from 21 years ago.
Wow. Did you know your dad personally?
Yes.
Okay.
I had a relationship with my dad, but he was murdered when I was 6, so it was cut short.
Wow. Did you understand the circumstances of that at the time, or is this something that happened later and got your journey started?
That's a fun question. When I was 6, my family told me that my dad had a heart attack and passed away, and so that's how I processed that information.
Yes.
And then when I was 16, I found out that my dad was murdered, and that
By
sort
way
of intuition, believe it or not. Yeah. And I talk about that on my podcast. I literally had a gut feeling that something happened, and I asked my mom very specific questions about my dad's death that I didn't even really understand. I just was asking questions that were coming to my head.
Yes.
And my mom was like, I have to tell you something, and then told me the truth. And so, I had to reprocess. And then a few years after that, I went to college and sort of formed a personality, and then started diving into the case files. And that's when I realized, not only was my dad murdered, it's very layered and it's very complicated. And there are a lot of interesting, suspicious details about this. Sure. And so that's when I started the podcast.
So how was the experience just when you figure out what actually happened? How was that processing that and then trying to cope with that information? And then was it people around you that helped you, like your mom, to help you deal with the whole thing? And
I have a pretty tumultuous relationship with family. I always say, like, my friends are my family and really have been for a long time. So I processed a lot of it on my own. I was at a very, like, pivotal point in my life. I was graduating high school and moving to college. So even relying on friends that I had known my whole life, we were all separating and, like, going to different places for school and, like, going off on our, like, new journeys. And so I had to process all of this information at the very beginning of that. And so
what year is this?
2012.
Yeah.
Okay.
At a young age as well. I mean, that's tough.
Yeah, totally. So it was very difficult. But yeah, I don't know how I'm even remotely normal. Is anyone here normal? I don't know.
Everybody's a little off. Now, the catharsis of working to solve, is that your objective?
My objective is to solve. My objective is not justice in the traditional sense, because I don't know if that's possible.
Sure.
And so I've gone into it with, like, as realistic expectations as possible. I am in control of whether or not I find out new information and solve this case. I am not in control of a police department gathering evidence and a prosecutor's office taking it to trial.
Getting a conviction.
So would that be nice? Absolutely. But if I can go to bed at night going, I know who did it, I know why they did it, I know how they did it, I will feel better.
Yes. And could you speak to the release, if you've had any, of emotions in covering your own father's murder and being an investigator on it? And also, is it difficult to remain objective?
Sure. Yeah, so it's been a wave of emotions. I feel like I haven't felt the release yet.
Sure.
It's almost gotten worse. And I think the bigger the podcast becomes, the harder it gets, because there's so much more pressure now of making the show and putting out information and becoming a personality and all of these weird things that come with it that were sort of like, I don't know, consequences of doing what I'm doing.
We could get into that too.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let you finish your question, because that's a whole different
it's very weird. And yeah, so, but on the other side of it, I do feel like better, and I feel like I'm making a difference. And I forget the second half of your question now, but
the objectivity aspect.
Oh yes, okay, yes. I was like, I'm going somewhere with this.
Yeah. Word of day calendar, objectivity.
I feel that I have remained fairly objective considering the circumstances.
Sure.
I do believe I am biased for obvious reasons, but I have remained very pragmatic in how I look at this. I think it's helpful that my dad died when I was so young, which gives me a unique lens to view the characters involved and the circumstances and the environment that make me a little bit more objective than other people if their dad was murdered when they were 21, 22. Yeah. However, it's still my dad, and I'm still very emotional about it. And so I think I toe that line, but I try to remain as objective as possible. For example, in season 1, which just finished, you don't really know what I think happened until episode 9. And I make it super clear that, like, everything else is, I interviewed this person, this is what they told me, and then I heard this and I pieced this together, and then this happened. And then in episode 9, I'm like, all right, this episode is what I freaking think. Like, this is what I think happened. This is what I believe. This is where all of this has led me. And I go for it, but I make it really clear that that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I try to make it clear when I have those moments of, like, subjectivity, like, this is an opinion, or this is what I'm thinking, or where I'm at today.
Yeah.
And then when I'm not doing that, the rest of the time I try to be super objective.
Okay. I think that's a good way to get the right amount of emotion into it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Now, back to what you had kind of alluded to. The aspect of notoriety or celebrity from attempting or creating content surrounded around attempting to solve your father's murder. Is that weird?
Yeah.
And how do you process somebody telling you that they're a fan of yours from what you're doing?
So it's funny. I pretend, I like disassociate in my head. I pretend when they say that they're a fan of me that they mean my personality and that they think I'm funny.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God, thanks. Like, you think I'm funny?
Yeah.
That's so cool. I'm like, let's get a picture. Like, but I pretend it has nothing to do with
what you do. That's a good way to do it, because it is a strange one, because like as a person who makes content, but I have no connection to it in that regard, it is easier to assume that they like a joke I made or something or whatever it is. But when you're so connected to the story, I could imagine it would be weird for somebody to come up and tell you how much I love you, or like it's weird, like you're the best.
No, it's weird. I was at a wedding a couple weeks ago, and I was standing at the bar, and I always say some people have like a podcast voice, and then they have like their real voice. But my podcast voice is my real voice.
Sure.
So I was at the bar at a wedding, and I was ordering a drink, and this girl looked at me kind of funny, and I was like, I don't know, like, did I say something wrong?
Expensive.
And she goes, oh my God, I listened to your podcast. Like, I feel like I know you. And I was like, oh, you
and
don't.
Your response to that normal thing to say to somebody is what? Because that's a super normal thing to say. I feel like I know you, stranger. And then you said?
I said, what's your name?
Just move on from it.
I'm Madison. Nice to meet you. Yeah. And it is funny because the number of people who say that is becoming more and more, and they're people I've never met before. And then recently I was with friends from high school, and they were like, yeah, I listened to your podcast and you talk about all this childhood trauma. They've known me my whole life. And they're like, I didn't even know any of that happened to you. Because that's not my personality.
Yeah.
And they were like, wow, it was so crazy that like I didn't know you went through all of that. Like that's wild. But it's because like I've never made that my personality.
For sure.
And so it's like, it's just funny to me that like the people who have known me my whole life have no idea that all of this has happened.
Yeah.
And the people who know all about my childhood trauma are like, we're your best friend.
Yeah. I feel like I know you and everything about your most intimate, personal, secret thing that you've gone through.
Right.
Yeah.
So one final thing. I don't want to take up all your time.
No, this is fun.
Yeah. It's super fun. So as a person who is in the space creating but has an attachment to it, obviously your mission is very personal, but what would you say as you go into season 2, you grow, maybe you find a voice in this space and you find a lane in this, what would you say would be your pivot, like your mission statement? Obviously you're trying to find out what happened to your dad, but is there a bigger mission to be drawn from that you could tell to people in your situation? Because I don't know if you know this, but most people here that make content, it's not personal for them. It's like I don't want to say it's a business, but it is.
It is.
For most people, they're able to dissociate and detach because they're not attached.
Sure.
So as somebody, I think that people like you and Sarah Turney and there, a lot of people that are in the space who have skin in the game, if you will, what is your mission statement beyond Ice Cold Case? Yeah,
no, that's a great question. I think as a television producer turned sort of true crime podcaster, I know how to make compelling content, and I now know how deeply personal this can be and feel, and how weird even I feel like I don't belong in these spaces because it's my own story, which is ironic in a lot of ways. Yeah. So I would love to... I had agency over my own story because of my career skill set. So there are people, and I could imagine how I would feel if that wasn't true for me, if I didn't know how to make a podcast and I wasn't a TV producer, but I had this story that I wanted to get solved. Like, how would I feel? I would feel helpless, and I would feel like there's no one who could listen to me because I don't know what to do. Like it's like that thing where like you don't know where to go from here.
Yeah.
So if I can create that opportunity for other people from particularly underrepresented communities whose stories don't fit the perfect victim mindset, it's so easy to fall in love with these stories when you feel like the person didn't deserve to die. And I think that there are people who would argue that my dad does not fall under that category.
Wow.
And so finding people, and people have reached out oh, my sister was a sex worker and she went missing, and then they found her body and no one cared because, well, she got what was coming to her, or whatever the narrative is. And so if I can provide family members some reprieve, maybe answers. Maybe it's just they want their story out there so that other people are at least talking about it.
Yes.
Maybe they want to go as far as to solve the case. I now know a little bit about this, so maybe there's a way for me to help. And so that's something that I feel like I've accidentally taken on that responsibility, but now there's no way to get rid of it. So
I think that that's an important role. I think that what you're describing is necessary in a big way, because there are people who have stories that need spotlight, and sometimes you know what you want a painting to look like, but you can't paint. And, you know, to be somebody who can, you know, paint a canvas for somebody else's story is important, you know, because there are a lot of people who just don't know how to put the words together to get people to listen to a story that is absolutely compelling.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a great mission, and I wish you luck on that, obviously.
Thank you.
Madison McGhee, would you please plug your podcast one last time?
Yeah. Ice Cold Case. You can find us on any platform.
All the plats.
All the plats. We're there. Just a little Google, and we'll be right there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Ice Cold Cases. Ice Cold Case?
Ice Cold Case.
Ice Cold Case.
But maybe cases.
Oh.
Down the line, yeah.
CrimeCon 2023, we are reporting live. It has been a day, if you will. We have been on Podcast Row for about 3 or 4 hours. Fran, how are you feeling? What is your energy level like, and what have been your thoughts of day one so far?
Oh, man, my energy level doesn't have the capacity that you have. So mine is on red. It's blinking, man. I think I'm tapping out in a second.
It's about time. It's about time.
But other than that, man, we haven't met as many listeners as I would like. It's only day one. It's only day one. But we've met a lot of new people and a lot of important speakers that's here at the CrimeCon.
Yeah,
so.
Fran is never satisfied. I feel like we've met probably like 7 people that listen to the podcast. And he's like, it's not 40.
Yeah.
So it's not enough.
No.
We've taken several pictures. It's been it's been great. It's been very great for my self-esteem and my ego that somebody knows who our podcast is. But Fran's never satisfied.
No.
And that's what makes him such a go-getter. Now, hello. This is real happy. This is take this microphone and give us our praises, our flowers right now. Hello, hi.
Hi, how are you?
What's your name?
My name is Christy.
Hi, Christy.
And I think I discovered you because of NPR.
Oh, okay. What? Terry Gross? No, it wasn't Terry Gross. Go ahead. Yeah.
So, and I just love you guys. So I listen to you. You're very interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take. And I think it's such a needed take.
Christy,
so
first of all, thank you so much, because we were literally just sitting here, and Fran was. You see how the universe works. Fran was just sitting here saying we haven't met enough people that know the show.
Yes.
And then boom,
you come walk
and then
up.
Christy, boom, like an apparition.
My daughter listens with me too.
Beautiful daughter. Is she? What is she doing in her life? How old is she?
She is 14.
Beautiful.
And she wants to be a CSI investigator.
Wow.
What? Is she here?
She's not here because it's my birthday weekend.
Oh,
okay.
then the kids stay home. It's time for Christy to have Christy time.
Yes.
Christy, how are you enjoying CrimeCon so far?
It has been amazing so far. I've met Heather Ashley. I've heard Paul Holes. I've heard something on Oxygen about a killer I've never heard of. So it's been really great.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it.
Are you hot for holes?
I am, yes.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm
not surprised.
He gets everybody
I'm not
going. He
surprised
gets
at all.
everybody
There's
going.
just that he's really well spoken
and he's brilliant,
smart
and he's
and
brilliant, and handsome, and he's so well versed in his knowledge. I'm
All of
also
that.
a Paul Holes fan. Christy, thank you so much.
Thank you. It
for
was great to meet you guys.
listening. I have some stickers in a bag. I didn't put them out because we don't have a lot, and I don't like people taking with their grubby hands.
But can I have one?
You can absolutely have one. Christy, thank you so much. Who are you the most excited to see speak here?
Paul Holes.
Sorry, of course.
Duh.
What question is that?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
And if you play your cards right, it's possible you could catch him in the lobby and have a drink with Paul Holes.
I
He's
would
a very
love to.
approachable guy.
Yes.
Yeah, he loves whiskey.
Yes.
But Christy, good luck enjoying time away from the kids.
Yes.
Let loose, have fun, be free, be merry.
Yes.
And be Christy.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And enjoy CrimeCon.
Thanks.
All right, we are here with Dr. Jackson. Dr. Jackson, thank you for stopping by our booth. We've had some talks before we started recording, obviously, but if you could give people kind of a little bit of your background and what you do and what you're here at CrimeCon to talk about.
Okay, hi. Thanks for having me on. I'm a college professor at Purdue Northwest, and I'm also the executive director for the Center for Justice and Post-Exoneration Assistance. I work primarily with folks who've been wrongly convicted for crimes that they did not commit.
Yes.
We work only on cases of factual innocence. We don't work on any cases where somebody's been wrongly convicted on a procedural error. It's only cases where somebody is locked up for crimes
they did not do.
That's correct.
Wow.
Because the real people.
So
who
it's
commit
not
these
like
crimes are out.
a technicality or something like that. This is a person that is completely innocent.
That's correct.
No wrongdoing.
That's correct.
Wow.
That
is
correct.
heavy work. What's that experience been like, and what got you into it? I mean,
So, about 7 years ago, I read an article about a man who was wrongly convicted in Indiana, and that's where I'm from.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe what I was reading, happened to this guy. So I called the prosecutor, who's a friend of mine, and I said, "Hey, is this guy out on a technicality, or is he really innocent?" And he goes, "No, he's 100% innocent." And so I said, "Well, what are you going to do for him?" And he said, "There's nothing we do for people who've been wrongly convicted." And I was like, "Wait, what?" So wrap your head around this. If you've committed a crime and you get out of prison, there are services for you, like there's parole and there's re-entry efforts. But if you've been wrongly convicted and you're an innocent person, when you get out of prison, you're not eligible for those same services that somebody who committed the crime.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's insane.
It's outrageous. So I was shocked. And I decided that there are things that we need to do in Indiana to make some changes, and I started hosting dinners for legislators and said we need to have a compensation bill in Indiana. And
Yes.
I'm proud to say 2 years later, I was at the governor's office for a signing of the bill that now people who've been exonerated, who were factually innocent, will be eligible to receive money, financial. But the problem is they can't sue and get compensation because the legislators thought that was double dipping. I don't see it that way. I think that's unfair because if you and I got into an accident, we have the right to sue, but if you've been victimized by the state, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
Which is BS.
So what about when they get out? Are you able to do what you're describing and also fight to get an overturned ruling as being you're labeled a convict? I mean, an ex-convict.
So what happened was People Magazine heard about me, my work. They did a story, and then all of a sudden, hundreds of letters came to me from all over the country saying, "We need your help," because they thought I actually helped exonerate Mr. Donald, and that's not what I do. I'm a PhD, not a JD. So I helped Mr. Donald post-exoneration, making sure he had a job, making sure just the basics, that he would have some quality of life, right?
Yeah.
And I'm proud to say he's the project manager at my center. I hired him. So we were able to get some funding from the owner of the Indiana Pacers. He's become a friend of me and my work, and he he told me to come to the Pacers office. I showed him all the letters I had from inmates, and he said, "I'll help fund you." And the university, Purdue Northwest, also funded our center. So we actually do a few things, actually more than a few. But one thing we do is we work on lobbying to change laws to help prevent a wrongful conviction of somebody who's innocent. I have
Got to go to the center of the problem.
Yeah, listen, my goal is we don't need a center anymore, right? That is my goal. The other thing we work on is education. I've actually just received a grant to do police trainings. So I actually go to police departments and I meet with detectives. They're the ones that we really need to talk to and explain what leads to a wrongful conviction of somebody who's innocent. And actually, I've had one chief of police who has had more wrongful conviction exonerations out of his department than any say thank you, and we're going to make some changes, which I thought was great. That's the outcome we want. The other thing we do is that's the mission. The other thing we work on is we investigate claims of wrongful conviction. So all those letters, my project manager, Mr. Donald, he goes through them with my students, and they decide this case is worthy of review or this case is a procedural error, so it's not something we're going to handle, or we really think this person committed the crime. So I will tell you that's the bulk of our cases. There's only a few that we have taken on that we believe this person is factually innocent.
Yeah.
And so we work on that. And then obviously one of the big pieces we work on is post-exoneration assistance. Like we were able to get a man who spent 25 years in prison for a rape, and his co-defendant spent 17 years in prison. Both are African-American males. Yeah. And he's 70. And how can he get a job? How can he? Right. So we found him a job. We actually not only did we find him a job, because you know what? I told him when we met with him, I don't want to just get you a job. I want you to have a job you want.
Yeah.
Not
absolutely.
doing maintenance because that's what you think that you can only do. So we were able to get him a job. It didn't last long. They said he wasn't producing on the production line fast enough. Well, he's 70. Let's give him a break.
Right.
But they fired him. So then we were back to working with him again. One of my students put together his resume. My project manager, who's an exoneree, went with him to job fair and helped with the interviews. We found him a job. He's been at the job for a few months, and he's really happy, so that makes me happy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and we work with exonerees, and we haven't been able to work in the housing space yet. That's one area we really need some help on. But dental work, I had an exoneree who was traumatized as a child, needed a tooth pulled, and I had to find a dentist to pull that tooth and not charge the guy. But we also needed an anesthesiologist because he needed to be knocked out. Yeah. So that was the whole thing was $7,500, and we were able to get that done pro bono.
Yeah.
We also want to work with, we haven't done it yet, but with the family members of those who've been, victimized, because they are the forgotten victims.
Absolutely.
Mothers, fathers
children.
have lost so much. Children, I published a book last year called The Victimology of a Wrongful Conviction. It's a long title. It's The Victimology of a Wrongful Conviction, Innocent Inmates and Indirect Victims. And we talk about the children, the parents, the siblings, the significant others who have lost so much, particularly the children, and the parents who've lost their life savings.
I think that's what you're describing is so brilliant, because a lot of times that we get caught up in somebody served the time and then they're released and it's like a celebration and then we kind of move on, but nobody talks about the aftercare of somebody who hasn't been on the streets for 30 years, doesn't know the world, hasn't functioned in society.
I always say freedom is never free.
Yeah.
Freedom is never free. And so I've been a real strong advocate of post-exoneration assistance. That is something we just don't do well. Texas, actually, I don't know if you know about this, Andy. I've got Andy Hale with me here, who has his own podcast too. But I don't know if you know, Texas has the best compensation package in the country. And Texas is one of the most conservative states.
Yeah.
But their compensation package and services to exonerees is stellar. It's stellar. There's nobody who's going to come out of prison who, from my understanding, who is factually innocent, who's going to be sleeping on a park bench. They actually will give you some money when you're walking out to make sure you have somewhere to go.
Yeah.
We don't have that in other states, at least not in my state. So we're working on these things. So there's a lot of things. I just testified before the Senate. I think that was in March or April. I testified that police should not be allowed to use deception during interrogations. I'm real...
Absolutely.
But this was only for juveniles. I can't get it to... Nobody should be lied to.
Board.
Here's the deal. If police can't lie to me, why can,
lie to somebody,
why can't I lie to them? What gives them that extra right?
Yeah.
So these are things I talk about at the police training, but we were able to get this bill, not me, I just testified, but the legislators were able to get that bill passed so police can no longer use deception during custodial interrogations of juveniles, which is a great start.
Yeah.
But here's something I want you to think about, and very few people, if anybody, I haven't heard anybody talk about this, I spoke to the governor about it. We need to expand that bill to adults with special needs.
Wow.
What about a 30-year-old who's functioning at a 12-year-old level or a 13-year-old? They're exempt.
Because it could just happen one day unexpectedly. You're caught up in the criminal justice system.
And that's what happened to my project manager. He's never been in trouble with the law. It's a long story. We wouldn't even have time to get into it now. But he spent 24 years in prison for crimes he didn't, robberies and a murder he never committed. And it was mistaken witness identification. and he had never been in trouble with the law.
Wow.
So, I mean, he had traffic violations.
Sure, we
and
all.
Yeah, that
we
that
all
he
ran
had.
one of those dumb traffic lights.
Yeah. So, anyway, so that's how I got involved in this space, and it's amazing to see. I met Mr. Donald 7 years ago. What we have been able to accomplish in 7 years, we are making change in Indiana.
Absolutely.
We're making a lot of change in Indiana. The governor has been really good to me. He awarded me a Sagamore of the Wabash, which is the highest civilian honor in the state of Indiana.
Wow.
And then next week, I'm being honored by the Indiana Indiana Commission for Women. They're giving me a Torchbearer Award. I guess I won.
Yeah.
And it's called the Heart of Indiana category. It's for hope and humanity. So I'm using all this beautiful recognition to spread the word. I'm also on, you might know this board, Reform Alliance.
Yeah.
Are y'all familiar with that?
No, what is that?
Oh, wow. Reform Alliance is a big organization. It's about Meek Mill. Do you guys know Meek?
Yeah, Meek Mill. Yeah.
So I don't know Meek Mill.
Philadelphia. He's from Philadelphia.
Okay, I didn't know who Meek Mill was, but when I was invited to sit on their advisory, I think we're calling it advisory council now. We switched from board, but anyway, I said, I work with people who've been wrongly convicted. You guys are working with folks who've been rightfully convicted, if that makes sense, people who committed crimes. But they work on probation and parole reform. They're an amazing organization.
Yeah.
We know there's a mass incarceration problem here. Mm-hmm. African Americans are disproportionately locked up.
And you get 10 years of probation, and you're gonna the parameters of probation are so limiting that you're gonna mess up, and you're gonna get sent back to prison. And I think a lot of times, if you get a 15-year-old kid and you tell them you want to do 4 years in prison or you want to do 8 years probation, it sounds easier until you're 20 now and you're still on probation and you can't leave
the country.
You guys should actually, I'll connect you guys to some of the folks at Reform. I think you would really enjoy listening to the work that they do.
Yeah.
They are really big in lobbying to make sure that we protect those who have been incarcerated, so when they come out of prison, that they have help and that their prison sentences aren't, unfair.
Yeah.
Just because not everybody who commits a crime deserves to be in prison for 20, 30 years.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, minorities get longer sentences than non-minorities. And so they're doing some great work.
Yeah.
So I'm really honored and privileged to be part of their world. I'm truly excited.
That is truly amazing. Dr. Jackson, I think that you're doing incredible work.
Oh, thank you.
And I think that you are like a wind of change. So even though you are located in Indiana, word gets around of the work that you're doing, and I think it's gonna help strike the chord in somebody else in another state to do the work that you're doing.
For sure.
Is there any other organizations that you want to shout out or anything before we close up?
I'm on Free at Last Coalition, their advisory board, and we are working to abolish slavery in the 13th Amendment.
Absolutely.
So we are all about that. We are, there's a lot of organizations working to remove the clause about involuntary servitude in the 13th Amendment. People think slavery doesn't exist, but I know it does, and it's those who've been incarcerated who are now forced.
Yep.
No, they are forced to engage in labor, and we got to make some changes.
Absolutely.
So we're working on abolishing that line in every state in this country.
Yes.
So that's what we're doing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Dr. Jackson, thank you so much.
Thank you
so much.
Amazing work.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.